Welcome, dear listeners, to the Speak in Flow podcast, where we dive into strategies to help you and your team achieve maximum potential and flow. Today, I have an amazing leader, Eric Klein. He's the CEO and founder of Sales Results Accelerator. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Melinda, how's it going?
Hey, it's good I'm so glad you're here. We're going to dive into lots of discussion, deep dive into sales strategies for you, for the audience member, for founders and teams. But before we get into that, I'd like for you to share more about what you do, what makes you passionate about Sales Results Accelerator.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and speaking with you. For me, my entire career has been, I'd say, non-traditional. I started in the beer industry. I went into ice cream and then eventually into financial services. And now I'm in sales consulting and coaching. And for me, my company helps companies of all sizes, but I've been focusing on startups, early stage companies, and growth stage companies on any aspect of sales. I help with founder-led sales. I help with sales processes, go-to-market strategy. And for me, what's amazing and I guess gets me really excited to get out of bed in the morning is helping people who have created something so amazing and important to them and helping them get from where they are to where they want to be. And a lot of the time, that's a simple adjustment in their mindset on how to sell or how to convey value of their company.
Mm-hmm.
So it for me, when I can help a founder kind of turn that switch on and understand how to get their product in front of people and get those people excited about what they're doing, that's what really gets me excited to do what I do.
Right. Right. Because many of these founders have put their heart and soul into their product, into their service, and they have a high technical expertise around it. So it can be very challenging to convey, not so much because we've spent so much time developing that technical expertise. You want to share it all, but then you're going to be there to support them to convey just enough to really raise the value.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
a great example of that, I work with some AI companies and these
Mm-hmm.
AI companies from the back end are so technical, but the people they're trying to help are not technical. And
Mm-hmm.
being able to speak and convey the things that need to be understood by the buyer or the end user is something that's really difficult for people who are so passionate and knowledgeable about what they're doing, and getting that change in mindset to really help them grow their business and get their product or service out there.
Right. And you mentioned your path is not as traditional. You also were a cheerleader, right? Can
I
you share
was, I
does
was.
this help? Does this help with you working with founders?
It does. And what's really fun about sales, and I'd be lying if I said I never used this in an interview before, but
Uh-huh.
the thing that is so cool about sales and cheerleading is getting people excited about something. If you're a
Exactly.
cheerleader for a football team, I cheered for Syracuse University and the Carolina Panthers. The goal was to get the fans involved and everyone excited about something, football, basketball, you name it.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
Sales is the same thing. Sales is all about getting someone excited about what you're doing. So,
Right.
does cheerleading help me in sales every day? Absolutely. It helps me in leadership positions, it helps me in sales process improvement. And the idea is, as a coach, I'm a cheerleader for the people that I work with. As a fractional VP of sales, I am a cheerleader for the products and services that I'm endorsing.
Right.
So, it's all about getting people excited, in cheerleading, getting them off their feet in sales, getting them to hopefully invest or pay for a product. And yes, absolutely, it's something that helps me every single day.
Oh my, why not have fun with it, right? And the thing is, there's so much complexity, chaos, fear, concern nowadays. It's like that energy of getting exciting about it, getting excited and connecting with the, like you mentioned, the community, the people, and bringing that out through your product and service, using that energy. I think it's going to cut through a lot of the noise and the fear potentially.
Definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. And you learn a lot of things in cheerleading that translate to business. Humbling
Right.
yourself. You are one of a sea of tens of thousands of people, and understanding you have a job to play, and focusing on that job and doing it to the best of your ability. Same thing when it comes to running a company or selling a product or a service. It's really, hey, I'm part of a bigger thing here. And
Hmm.
if my goal is to help the company or grow my own company, I have to understand what is important and what my job and role is to play to really help the organization or the team or the company that I'm with.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. And what is your experience with companies? I see you have so much experience working with large companies, startup founders. What has been your experience seeing companies that don't do a good job with their sales presentations or sales teams? What happens?
Definitely. I think there's a big there's a lot of problems
Hmm.
that can happen that are some are easily fixed, some take a little bit more time, but the idea of being passionate about what you're selling. If I were selling you something and I was
Right.
sitting here talking about feature after feature after feature, it gets really boring. You get uninterested in what I'm talking about. And
Hmm.
then my job is to go to the next person. And if I'm not fixing that, if there's not someone on my team that's there to help me fix some of these problems, you get into a lull, and the team's motivation and excitement around what they're doing becomes stale, if you will. And some of the things that I've done when I've worked with sales teams is A, do they understand the product? That's a
Hmm.
huge thing. B, do they understand the problem that they're solving? And
Hmm.
C, do they understand the problems that the customer or the prospect that they're dealing with is
Hmm.
trying to solve? And if there's not a connection between the problem that you solve and the problem that they're trying to solve, they are probably not a good customer. There's a lot of people that want to get on the phone and call anybody and try to sell everybody, but everybody is not a customer. And finding and getting through all of the non-customers and finding the really good prospects is something that's important for me. When I've worked with companies and I've seen some problems that they're having, a lot of the times it comes down to sales process.
Okay.
Just like if you're playing sports, you need to understand the play that you're doing, and you
Hmm.
execute it and you practice it and you do it over and
Hmm.
over again until
Hmm.
you execute it well. Sales is the same thing. And you can talk to a salesperson and not really get the feeling that they know what they're doing every time, and just fixing that and coaching them through, this is what you do, this is how you do it, these are the questions you ask. Some of those little things can be so impactful for salespeople of all stages.
And so do you see with the people that you've worked with, the organizations that you've worked with, those are some of the key challenges that they're having? First, having a clarity about the client, the problem you help solve, and then also the sales process, not having the appropriate questions. Those are the key things.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a combination. So I'll
Mm.
give you the example. When I was in the beer industry, I worked
Mhm.
for one of the largest beer companies in the world, if not the largest. And at the end of the day, people are going to buy beer, and they're
Right.
going to buy beer from them. But if the goal is to just buy the beers that they know and love and have to buy because their customers already come in asking for it, you will be okay. You will not excel, and you won't be able to get to that next level. When it comes to getting more sales and improving your team, having a great understanding of the products that you sell, maybe the more crafty or imported items that not everyone knows about, and then listening to the companies that you're selling into, the bars, the restaurants, the clubs, and understanding, where is there a gap? Maybe people are always asking for a specific type of beer, maybe it's a price point, and then being able to speak confidently about the products that you have in your portfolio to those people. You're not only conveying value, you're solving a problem. And at the end of the day, something as simple as beer is the same as something as technical as AI services. You need to
Hmm.
understand your product. You need to ask the questions to understand the problems that your prospect is trying to solve, and then fill that gap with the value. And for
Hmm.
me, I think, yes, absolutely. Those are some of the biggest issues that I see when I go and I work with some of these companies that I have in the past.
Hmm. And what happens when we don't train people, the sales team? Because things are changing so quickly, like you mentioned, and just in that scenario, like you mentioned, a company owner can say one day, I'm selling this beer, but now I'm going to sell imported beer, and then the communication that needs to happen to with the sales team. Does I could see that that could be quite challenging to keep people up to date with, and what happens if we don't as an
Yeah, so
organization.
you're absolutely right. Communication is very important.
Hmm.
When it comes to sales, there's really two main things that people talk
Hmm.
about, and some people
Hmm.
say one is more important than the other. I go back and forth, and those two things are relationships and data.
Hmm.
And there's a nice I'd call it a fine line between the two. Some people really just want to know that if you buy this beer, this is going to be your profit margin, and this is how much you're going to make. Other people want to know that they trust you, you are a good friend or a trusted colleague or someone in the industry that I really trust. For me, I think you're spot on, right? Being in contact with the people that you're working with, understanding that their business is where it is, and how can I help them, and being there as someone just like that I can help. I'm not here to come in, sell you something and leave. I'm here to come in and help you fix a problem, and I'm there if you need me. When I was in the beer industry, I know we keep talking about the beer industry, but if someone was they're having a big event and they're running out of beer, and a lot of salespeople would say, "Hey, I'll put in the order and it'll be on the truck for your next delivery." Um, the salesperson that says, "Look, I will go to our warehouse and I will get that keg, I will sign it out, and I will deliver it to you so your business
Hmm.
will succeed." Your buyers will remember that. The
Hmm.
people you work with will no longer think of you as the sales guy. They'll think of you as a friend, a problem solver, someone that's there to
Hmm.
help.
Hmm.
And those things are so important when it comes to almost every aspect of sales. If you're running a service company and someone picks up the phone and calls you as a salesperson, if you're not the person to help them with solving that problem, but
Hmm.
you can facilitate getting that person in contact with the person in your company that can help them, they will remember that.
Hmm.
If they call you and you text them back, "Hey, it's not me. This is the person that you should reach out to. Good luck."
Right.
It's
Right.
it's a very different conversation. So
Yeah.
that relationship piece definitely comes into play. On the other hand, so does data. When I was working with really large companies and selling into enterprise companies, they want to know how much money this product is going to make them or save them, how much business this is going to bring them, and what can I do from them from a monetary standpoint. That's not relationships, that's data. And like I said, there's really a fine line that you need to walk, and you need to pull from both sides of that equation to be able to be a successful salesperson.
So what it sounds like you do such a wide spectrum from the beginning of the sales process all the way to the end and execution. Could you walk me through, if I'm a company owner and I have all these gaps and holes in my sales process, what would, like, from the beginning to the end, how could you help me like optimize everything?
Definitely. Well, I'll start off by saying that I would love to say that I can help every single company. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. And I think one of the biggest things that salespeople can understand is that your product or service is not for every single person you talk to. Someone that I worked with in the past talked about trying to boil the ocean,
Mm.
and really focusing on everything and everyone and
Hmm.
every
Hmm.
company. And what I've realized is focusing on a specific avatar or a specific type
Hmm.
of company or a specific problem can be so beneficial for a company or an individual contributor. When it comes to sales, if you're selling financial services, maybe you focus on a specific industry, a company size, and for me, I like to say I'd love to help everyone, but I can't. So
Right.
the first thing that I like to do is have a conversation and understand where the company is, what their
Hmm.
goals are, what they'd like to achieve from their perspective, what some of the biggest problems are that they're trying to fix, and approach it from a call it an educational perspective. I'm trying to learn as much about the company and the problems that they're dealing with to see if I am a good fit. In
Hmm.
sales, we call that discovery. And as a sales guy who's selling sales services, it's really meta and really fun for me to if I can sell someone on my services of selling, they trust me as a salesperson and as a
Hmm.
mentor. So what I would do is like I said, go into that discovery, understand as much about the company as possible.
Hmm.
If I think that I can help them, and if there's some, I guess I get along well and understand that I can really fix some of these problems, we move on to the next step. And then it turns into is this a founder-led sales issue, or is this a
Hmm.
team and sales people-led sales issue,
Hmm.
or a sales
Hmm.
process issue potentially?
Hmm.
Some of these companies are even before that. So go to market strategy. How do they take a
Hmm.
brand new product that's never seen the light of day? Maybe it's an MVP and monetize that MVP.
Hmm.
Some of the people that I work with actually aren't trying to sell their product or service for money. They're trying to get it out there in front of users to get feedback. And how do you find free users? Sometimes finding free users is just as hard as getting paid users for a brand new product. So for me, it's all about identifying the problems, figuring out a better way of doing it, and really jumping in head first. Like you said, I have a really wide scope of services. And for some of the people that I work with, it is as simple as I'm going to meet with you once a week. We can go over numbers. I want to listen to how you talk to your customers, and we can tweak some of those processes. For other customers of mine, it's really hands-on, more of a fractional VP of sales role where I'm managing salespeople. I'm meeting with the salespeople. I'm reporting back to the founder on some of the problems that I'm seeing and some of the problems that I can fix in terms of sales process improvement and how they communicate with people and the value that they're putting in front of people. So at the end of the day, there's no one size fits all for any customer. But the coolest thing about sales that I've learned from selling beer to financial services is a lot of the skills are the same. It's about practice, it's about repetition, it's about understanding the value that you are bringing and the
Hmm.
problems that your customers are facing and how you
Hmm.
bridge that gap as a salesperson, as a helper, not as someone who's there to collect a check.
Hmm. And has it been increasingly more difficult to help companies discover their value with all the competition out there?
Yes and no.
Hmm.
That's a really great question, and the reason I say yes and no is if there's 100 other companies out there, 1,000 other companies that do
Hmm.
exactly what you do,
Hmm.
you need to better understand what you do, right? If
Hmm.
I'm Starbucks and I'm going up against Dunkin', there's a different value proposition. It's not just we
Yeah,
have the best coffee. It's we are a
right.
place to network, and we also you can work here. You can provide we provide value in terms of a safe place to work, a calm, collected environment. Dunkin', America runs on Dunkin', right? The idea is it's fast, it's quick, it's good
Right,
coffee. They're no
right,
longer Dunkin' Donuts. The value isn't their pastries, the value is their speed and their quality. So
right,
even though there's thousands and thousands of coffee companies out there, being able to identify what makes you different is
right,
something that should be one of the first things as a
right,
founder or a
right,
salesperson for a large company can understand.
right.
I work for Budweiser, for Anheuser Busch.
Mhm.
We're going up against Miller Coors and every craft brewery you can name and every import brewery. There's value, there's quality of our products, there's the name. If we're selling into bars and restaurants, it's the idea that these bars, as soon as someone walks into their bar, they will recognize our brands and pay those bars for our brands. That's a very different value than a smaller craft brewery who says our value is our quality. We are small but strong. We use the best ingredients. Our brewers care about every single batch that they make, and they only make a limited quantity. So the person behind the bar, if someone comes in and says, give me a light beer, well, you go to Bud Light. But hey, what do you have that's hoppy, fresh, and new? Probably not going to be a Budweiser or a Bud Light. So these two very similar companies are providing value and differentiation in very, very different ways.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for startups who are still trying to figure out their value as they're testing the market? What is working? Any tips to hone it
Yeah.
in, to stick to it? Yeah. Well, yeah. What can you provide?
So one of the exercises that I've picked up along the way that I like to do with every early startup that I work with
Uh-huh.
is something called ICP ideation. It's
Mm,
at the end of the day, figuring out who your ideal customer is, your ideal customer profile. And a lot of the time people say, okay, my ideal customer profile, when I was in the ice cream industry, my brand that I worked on, it was athletic, middle-aged women who care about fitness and health. And
hmm.
that's a lot of the time where these companies stop. Is it's the age, it's the gender, maybe one activity, and a fun fact about these people. For me, when I work with a lot of these companies, I say go further than that.
Hmm.
What is your avatar, your ICP do on the weekends? Do they have kids? What's their favorite food? Do they have a favorite movie? What kind of music do they listen to? And then as you build out this very, very specific person, you start to think, what would that person find valuable? And
Hmm.
then you think about, what does my company offer? Well, my company offers this. I'm trying to sell to these people, and what are how do we connect these dots? And a lot
Right.
of the time those questions really seem to find themselves to value. What is the value I provide? I work with I've worked with a company that works in the gaming and gambling industry, and when they started off, the idea was they were going to work with shoes, or they were going to work with collectibles, and then they started to build out this profile of who
Hmm.
they really wanted as their customer, and realized that competition was really what their customer wanted. So they built out and they pivoted and they changed a little bit about their marketing strategy. But the idea was, at the end of the day, that the value they brought was friendly competition with an educational spin to
Hmm.
all of their users. And
Mm.
and that really differentiated them from all of the other gaming and gambling companies out there. So it's really important to know what you do and know what you provide. If you provide 1,000 different things, great, but that's not what all of your customers want. So figuring out who
Right.
your customer is first, and then differentiating is a thing that people sometimes do a little bit backwards.
Oh, totally. Totally. Because they want to throw everything out in the spaghetti and then see what sticks. And then it just doesn't come out well, or people will get confused. And so and then you don't give that time, that focused time and attention that it requires to hone in, like you said, the customer profile and what is it that they like. That takes constant refinement and getting in touch with. And so I think that that is so valuable about and then therefore, like you said, it helps you stand out because you are one of a kind in that area. And I love how you provide so many specific examples of how you've done that with different companies, and how it really does work when you just narrow in and commit to bringing value to one specific avatar. Hmm.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is,
And
people say, oh my gosh, this is too specific of a person. Well,
right.
too
Right.
specific of a person, if that pool of people is 100,000 people, that
Exactly.
means you have 100,000 potential customers. So the more specific, the more value you can provide to those people that you're
Right.
trying to sell to.
Right. And that's where you come in, because I think that a lot of people will have resistance to it. People will, and having that objective perspective and hand holding to be able to see, help somebody to identify that, and then train all the teams to speak the
Definitely.
same language. So that is amazing.
Definitely.
Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that, those specific examples. I think any company that gets to work with you is very lucky to have you. How can they reach out to you for support or additional sales consultation?
Definitely. So my website is getsales.us. My email is eric@getsales.us. I would love to speak with anybody. I think another tidbit for salespeople out there, speaking with anyone is an opportunity to sell. It's also an opportunity to sell yourself in a memorable way. So if I go out there and I'm at a networking event and someone comes up to me and they are not a customer of mine, I still want to respect them. I still want to introduce myself and tell them what I do, because maybe they know somebody that could benefit from my services, or maybe they know someone who I could benefit using their services. So that's why a lot of people say your network is your net worth. I think it's really important to understand that every interaction you have with people is, you can make a positive interaction for the both of you. So I would love to speak with anyone, learn about their businesses. And if I can't help you, maybe there's someone who I know in my network that could help you. So eric@getsales.us, and getsales.us is my company website, Sales Results Accelerator.
Love it. And you can get the link in the show notes. And Eric, I'd like to ask you that same question I ask all my guests. What is that one leadership golden takeaway that you'd like the audience to remember?
Definitely. I think it's a great question. And for me, through some of my best mentors I've had, there's been some distinct things. One thing that comes to mind is there's a huge difference between managing and leading. And you asked me about a golden leadership takeaway. When I was playing football in Texas, I had the opportunity to meet with a former Dallas Cowboy and speak with them about their successful career. And what I got from those conversations was, every time they spoke about something specific, whether it was winning a game or going to practice or spending time with their family, they focused very narrowly on that thing. And to me, it came down to focusing on what's important now. If you go on my website, one of our core values, it says win, what's important now. And to me, that means understanding the problem you're trying to solve, understanding the position you're in, and focusing on that one thing, whether it's in business or in life. I just got married a couple weeks ago. And when you get married, whoever said planning a wedding was easy was a big liar. And what I realized is, when running a business, planning a wedding, trying to keep personal relationships with your friends, if you're trying to do it all at the same time, you won't be able to focus in and do a great job on any given thing. So when I was playing football, what I used to do is I'd write WIN on my wrist wraps. And when I put my hand in the ground, I thought to myself, okay, the last play is over. The next play has not happened. Let's focus on this play and what I have to do to help my team win. And the same thing works in business. If I'm running a company, what's the biggest problem that I need to fix, and focusing on fixing that problem. So one is the what's important now thing. And to me, I'd say, if I had to say one extra thing, is don't underestimate the value of friendly competition. I think friendly competition is one of the most valuable things that I've learned in my career as a salesperson, as a now husband, and being playful in relationships. I'll give you the example of when I was running the marketing team in my last role with Anheuser-Busch. There were 3 teams that fell under my team, and it was the supermarket team, the convenience store team, and the bar team. And one of the biggest challenges that I had was getting all of our salespeople to A, use the right marketing material, B, be excited, and C, sell more product at the end of the day. And I didn't have a very big budget. But what I did have was $15 and an Amazon gift card. And I went on Amazon and I bought a WWE plastic belt. And I brought it into work one day and I turned it upside down so the W became an M. And I said, look, this is the marketing belt. And whichever team does the best job in sales, presenting our company well, and putting out the right marketing materials will win the belt. And that first month, the teams were somewhat excited about it. What was really exciting was when the team won. It was the supermarket team. I said to the head of the supermarket team, you need to make a big deal out of this. It's a $15 belt, but you need to playfully rub it in the other team's faces that you won this belt. And so without my knowing, the large format, the supermarket team came out and made a rap video dissing the other teams, talking about how they were better because they won the marketing belt. That next month was our single best month of sales in that team's history, all because of a $15 WWE belt and a lot of people on the supermarket team that were having a lot of fun. And you bet every single month that the team who won the belt rubbed it in the other team's faces, and our sales just improved. And it's a testament to focusing on what's important now, the idea of increasing sales, putting out the right marketing material, and making sure that our teams really represent the company well, but B, having fun and putting those things all together really made a huge impact on that team and my perspective on how a team can function well with something so simple. So
I love
what's
that.
important now and friendly competition is really where I think we can improve.
That's great, because it's like, what's important now? So you're helping the whole team focus what's important now, but then you're bringing in the competitive element to really bring in the juice, like bring in the fire, bring in the action around it. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's great leadership golden takeaway. Really appreciate your time today, Eric. I got out a lot from today's call and today's podcast, in particular, just that last bit, and then also helping and really thinking through what makes me unique as a company. And also, I think it's encouraging for other companies to know that even though there's a lot of competitors out there, people you think that are doing the exact same thing, but really you can narrow in and really stand out, taking that time to do that and getting support from people like you to really showcase what we're about, especially all of us entrepreneurs who are doing the day-to-day grind. Remembering that you have what it takes to be special and unique. And so I'm so glad for you to share that tip, that tidbit, and encouraging us to continue on the journey.
Absolutely. Well, it was an absolute pleasure getting to speak with you, Melinda. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great. Thank you so much. And Eric, congratulations on your marriage and also Sales Results Accelerator. It's going to do great. Yeah, lots of wonderful companies. Yeah, to be in around your expertise. So it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, listeners, I'm so glad that you've been here. I trust that you got some golden takeaways today. Until I see you next time, I'm your sister in flow. May flow continue to flow into you, through you, and to others. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.